Ever seen billions of dollars just disappear, literally overnight? Well, that's exactly what happened here. A single policy announcement from halfway across the world triggered a massive tech shock. And today, we're going to unpack how it all went down. It all starts with this one absolutely staggering number.
Okay, look at this number. 83,994 crore rupees. That is a huge number. To put it in perspective, that's more than 10 billion US dollars. So, what is it? What does this massive figure actually mean?
That, right there, is the total value that was just wiped out from India's top tech firms. And get this, it wasn't over a month or a week. This happened in one single day. It just vanished. The big question is, what on earth could cause something like that?
All right, let's dive into what happened. The day was Monday, September 22nd. And while for most of the market it was just another day, the tech sector was about to get hit by an absolute shockwave. Let's really look at the damage here.
The reaction was just immediate. A massive sell-off, and it was everywhere. We're not talking about a little dip here and there. I mean, you've got LTIMindtree down 4.5%. Even the giants, Infosys, TCS, they took big hits. No one was safe. This was way more than just a bad day at the office. This was full-blown sector-wide panic.
And this chart, this really tells the story. It shows you just how targeted this whole thing was. See, the rest of the market, the BSE Sensex, it barely even blinked, down just over 0.5%. But the IT index, it just nosedived, dropping almost 3%. So you see, this wasn't some general market slump. This was like a laser-guided missile aimed straight at the heart of the tech industry.
So you got to be asking, what could possibly cause such a severe reaction? Well, the answer isn't in India. It's thousands of miles away, wrapped up in a U.S. policy proposal and one very, very big number.
Now, before we get to that number, let's just do a quick level set on something called the H-1B visa. You have to understand this to get the full picture. Basically, it's the main way that U.S. companies, especially tech companies, can hire skilled foreign workers for specialty jobs. For years, it's been this absolutely critical pipeline for talent.
Okay, you ready for this? Here's the bombshell. A proposed fee of $100,000. And hold on, it gets crazier. That's not a one-time thing. That's a proposed annual fee for every single new H-1B visa. A fee that high would completely blow up the financial model for hiring talent from around the world.
And this all happened so fast. The news breaks on a Friday, right? So the entire weekend is just filled with uncertainty. The White House tries to clarify something on Saturday, but honestly, it didn't really help. So by the time the Indian markets open up on Monday morning, the panic was already set in stone. The sell-off was instant.
Okay, so we have the cause, the visa fee announcement, and we have the effect, the market crash. Now, let's connect those dots. Why? Why would a U.S. visa policy hit the Indian stock market so incredibly hard?
Honestly, this one chart pretty much explains it all. Take a look. More than 70%. Let that sink in. Over 70% of all H-1B visas go to Indian tech professionals. So for the Indian IT industry, this program isn't just something they use. Their entire business model is basically built on it. So if you threaten the H-1B, you're threatening the very core of how they operate.
And it's not even just about keeping the lights on day to day. This reliance on skilled engineers is what allows them to grow in all the hottest areas. Things like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, the real cutting-edge stuff. So this policy wasn't just a problem for right now, it was a direct threat to the future growth engine of the entire industry.
The timing of this just couldn't have been worse. It was a real gut punch. As one analyst, Siddhartha Kemka, said, this just rattled sentiment right when the sector was finally starting to look like it was getting back on its feet. So it wasn't just about the money, the actual cost. It was a huge psychological blow to anyone invested in the industry.
But, and this is important, don't think for a second this is just an India story. A policy change this big sends ripples across the entire global tech scene. Why? Because the race for the best talent is a global competition.
And yeah, it's not just about the big Indian IT service firms. The biggest users of these H-1B visas are, well, they're the names you know. It's a who's who of big tech. Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft. All of them depend on this exact same global talent pipeline to stay on top. So when you shake up the system like this, you shake up everyone.
And all of this brings us to the big final question, right? This whole episode was a massive reminder of how tightly wound together talent, technology, and politics really are.
So as we look to the future, as different countries keep changing their rules, the real question isn't just about what happens to one company or one country. It's much bigger. It's about how the entire global race for tech talent is about to fundamentally change. And that is the story we all need to be watching.